I don't owe anybody money in here.
Yes. We line up.
Too bad. Well, our lesson this morning is, what is love got to do with it? Well, what is it? Well, first of all, love is creativity. It's the balm that's in all healing. It's the comfort you receive in times of trouble. It's the hope for a better life. And it's the light that lights up another possibility, an infinite possibility for each and every one of us. I like the fact that we quote the Bible. God is love, it says in 1 John, and he who abides in love abides in God. Also, she does too. But a woman. God is love, and he who abides in love abides in God, and God abides in them. I've always loved that. Recently, I've taken up another verse called, commit thy ways unto the Lord. And I see Tim is here, and Tim is a Bible scholar, and he knows where that is. Commit thy ways unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. Well, for me, the metaphysical version of that is simply this. If you commit your ways to love, if you commit your ways to see love, feel love, have love, think love, and become the love that you are seeking, something we call the law brings it to pass, because the law is fulfilled through love. So I want you to play a little game with me. Pretend just for a moment, I don't know if this, I suspect there's some truth in this story. But when we came to this plane of existence, we powerful spiritual beings of light and love have such power, and we have such capacity that in order for us to experience what we came here to experience, whatever it is, we had to shut off all of our knowledge that we had power. And we had to encase ourselves in a kind of egg of belief. And that egg of belief hardened, and that egg of belief took on the notion that somehow outside of us is all the power. Somehow out there are people, situations, and circumstances that dictate who we are and what we do, forgetting, as we had when we came here, forgetting that that power is, that same power is in us. There is no power that's separate from us. And so we created these eggs of belief, and some of these eggs of belief are terrible. You know, the eggs that say, I'm no good, and besides that, how could anybody like me? And who cares? And what's this world about anyhow, if it's not about me? It's one I've often toyed with. But it's time we all realized in this world, and I think that we are part of this process this morning in this room, that we all realize that we created the beliefs that are creating the negative circumstances in our life. We created them. We created them as a group. When we are just as responsible as anyone for any negative situation, whether it's at the school shooting or a homeless person on the street. What is in us? What is in us that can be healed? What is in us that can love? So you take back your power with love for yourself and love for others by what you do. Now, you know, when I was a kid, I was born in Kentucky, and you can't hardly tell it anymore. And my family moved up to Ohio from Kentucky, and I got to ride a bus for the first time. And I was a kid, maybe 10 years old. And one Sunday, I heard a Sunday lesson from the Sunday school teacher that he said, listen to that still small voice within of God. And if I listened to it in my heart, I would feel wonderful. So I took that lesson to heart, and to be kind and to listen to God. So one day I was riding this bus, and it was crowded. All the seats were taken. And I was sitting there, and on the next stop, an older lady got on, carrying many packages, and I clearly heard that voice inside me say, "Get up and give her your seat." And in my 10-year-old version of gallantry, I offered her my seat. She looked at me and smiled the most appreciative smile I'd ever seen, and maybe there was a tear in her eye, and who knows what she was going through. So she really may have needed to rest her weary legs in that seat. But for me, it was just like the Sunday school teacher promised. I felt good. I'd made a connection, in kind, in a selfless way for another. I listened to my heart. But when she got up to exit the bus, she shoved something inside my coat pocket. And then she left. And I reached into the pocket and I found a whole $1 bill. It was an enormous sum of money for me at the time. I thought, boy, listening to your heart and following it is really good stuff. You get it? So every time I got on the bus after that, I got up and offered my seat to ladies, gentlemen, other kids, even when there were empty seats. Of course, I wasn't listening to my heart. I was listening to my greed. But the lesson did stick with me. Teilhard de Chardin, the French priest and scientist and philosopher, wrote this: "Someday, after mastering the winds, the waves, the tides, and gravity, we shall harness God for the energies of love. And then for a second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire." Now that's what's possible in each and every one of us. I think he was talking about deliberate, conscious love, the use of love. This love will serve us as we learn to use it in the way that it works. I'll put it this way: if we do it, we can harness a power that's more powerful than fire. But this love requires us first and foremost to listen to that still small voice in your heart, to listen to what others have to say, to listen, a communication, a willingness to see that something greater than our concerns and fears can work through us to heal, to create a better life, and to express joy. And when we can listen with love to ourselves and to others, we will have made that connection that everything is really love and everyone is deserving of love. See, we can't say we love someone if we won't listen to them. We can't say we love ourselves if we don't listen to our own hearts. And you know, some of you are looking for love relationships, I know. But there is no getting a love relationship. There is only being a love relationship. Being a good love relationship means you listen. You listen with your heart. This is what I expect. This is what I want. This is what I deserve. And then don't settle for anything less. And I know how difficult that is. I truly do. It is difficult. But, well, lost my place.
We love you anyway.
You ever have a place? Okay. We all have a history of not understanding how love can work. We have a history of blames and fears, and they ought to, and he did it, and besides that, they're no good. But whatever is out there because it's inside of us. Do you understand? And I'm not saying this to blame. Please don't understand. We came here, like I said, we came here and started believing the egg that we created was real instead of love was real. We came here, I think, to assume an identity we call our egos. Our egos picked up a lot of stuff, some of it good and some of it not so good. But that's all right. That's all right. Some of it we picked up as utter nonsense. Utter nonsense. It's not safe, it's not safe, it's not safe. We were lying to ourselves. Do you understand? That's how powerful we are. It is safe. Thich Nhat Hanh gives us 3 questions that can empower our capacity for loving and being loved. These you can ask another, and these you can ask yourself. Because we understand that others are ourselves. So the first question is, do I understand you enough? Do I understand you enough? When we make judgments of others, do we, as we learn to use the way it works? So I'll put it this way. If we make judgments of others, we will harness the power of judgment. The power of judgment says, I really don't understand you, I don't want to. We don't understand why other people may be the way they are. Truth is, we don't know what others have gone through, what they act or what they may say or think or do. Sometimes we don't really understand why we are the way we are. Understanding is a giant first step to seeing that all is really love. See, far too often we shut out others because we think that somehow they should just know what we're going through. But how can they if you don't tell them? How can they? How can they unless we're willing to communicate? Understanding awakens us to more possibilities, more ways to love. So when it's with ourselves or someone else, we listen and we listen with an ear to understand, with an ear to awaken to a new possibility. Most of us do a lot of talking when we should do a lot more listening. You think we listen a little more to those in our closest relationships, but we don't. We don't. But sometimes they suffer the most from a lack of understanding and are not listening. It's like the story of the husband and wife who were married for a long time, and they were going out for dinner one night, and they got into the car and backed out of the driveway, and the wife said, "You don't have your seatbelt on." And the husband said, "I'm not going to wear my seatbelt." And the wife said, "Put on your seatbelt." And he said, "I'm not wearing that seatbelt." She said, "But it's the law. Put on your seatbelt." And he said, "Read my lips. No seatbelt for me." So they went several blocks, and they were all kind of tense and angry with each other. And sure enough, a police car pulls up behind them with the sirens and the lights flashing. And he quickly grabs the seatbelt and fastens it. And the officer says, "May I have your driver's license, please?" The man says, "What's the problem, officer?" He says, "You weren't wearing your seatbelt." He said, "I am wearing my seatbelt. See, it's all snug and snapped here." "Yeah, but you weren't wearing it 60 seconds ago." "I am wearing my seatbelt," he said. "I don't want to give you my driver's license. I am wearing my seatbelt," he angrily says. And the officer turns to the wife who's sitting there, who's now boiling over from years of no communication and no understanding. He says to her, "Was he wearing his seatbelt a minute ago, ma'am?" And she says, "Mary, Officer, we've been married for a long time, and I've learned over the years never to argue with him when he's been drinking." So the next question Thich Nhat Hanh asks is, do I water the seeds of your suffering? Do I water the seeds of your suffering? It's a tricky question. Obviously, we don't want to consciously do anything to anyone else or ourselves that causes pain, but we all have buttons, buttons. Our egos have created to keep us from relinquishing control over what we never had control of in the first place. You understand me? I wrote that. I'm going to remember that. We have to address these buttons through understanding, knowing love can heal them if we will face them and stop blaming others when they push our buttons and realize there are our buttons. We created them. If someone, please realize this, if someone you are living with or working with or whatever with seems to cause negative feelings rise up in you, you need to understand that negative feeling is in you. That's where it can be healed. That feeling is really asking for love. Don Miguel Ruiz in his book Mastery of Love writes this: fear is full of pity. It feels sorry for everyone. You feel sorry for me when you don't respect me. You feel sorry for me when you don't respect me, when you don't think I am strong enough to make it. On the other hand, love respects. I love you. I know you can make it. I know you are strong enough and intelligent enough and good enough that you can make your own choices. You can make it. Wow. We have to stop watering the seeds of suffering in others. And we also have to stop watering the seeds of suffering in ourselves. Respecting ourselves enough to forgive those hurts, to forgive that and move on. Wow. Another way we water the seeds of suffering is we have a judgment or demand that others be what we think they should be. We aren't loving when we don't listen to them or expect they should have no opinion but the opinion we think they ought to have. To be loving, we have to get in touch with that. What is our fear trying to tell us? What are we really afraid of? You see, love allows. It doesn't control. It allows people to respect that we believe in them. We believe in each other. We believe in life. We believe in love. We believe in what we call God. Even we believe in children. Even when they grow older, we have to allow them a certain latitude in their life. Demanding that they be what we want them to be is not love. It's fear masquerading as love. So the next question that Thich Nhat Hanh asks is, do I water your seeds of joy? Do I water your seeds of joy? Each thought we think sends out an electromagnetic signal to the universe that is infinite now. And how we feel is an electromagnetic magnet that sends the fruit of that thought back to us. Now think of this. Love thoughts send out vibrations of health and peace and strength and plenty and contentment out into this stream of life. Fear thoughts and acts send out vibrations that tear down and destroy. There is nothing more joyous than to love and be loved. Certainly there are many ways to spread joy. Serving other people is a good example. Saying a kind word, praising someone, even when they don't believe in themselves, to praise them like the True Color song said. Blessing them. Despite what others say or do, always doing our best to see life as it can be and refusing to see life as it may be. I know people will say, yeah, but you aren't being realistic. If you understand this faith and philosophy, if you understand what we're trying to teach here, if you understand what the latest in science is telling us from quantum physics and stuff, then you need to understand we are creating this world. We have that power. And to look at someone and say, you're less than you can be, you're no good, and besides that, nobody really liked you. And we say that to ourselves sometimes. Understand, that's how powerful you are. Do I water your seeds of joy? Do I? There's a verse in the book of John, that's John, 1 John. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. I never understood that verse when I was a Baptist, but I kind of do it now. I'm willing to see that the love that I'm willing to give, the love that I'm willing to bless, the love that I'm willing to serve with, is what I'm becoming. It's what I become. You know, when we walk down the street, here's a little thing for you to practice. Just walk down the street, and when you pass someone, just say silently to yourself. I don't recommend saying it out loud. But just say, well, the love of God in you, I love you. You keep saying, just everyone you meet that way, and just smile. They'll think you're weird, but that's all right. You're watering seeds of joy in everyone. I love you. I love the God in this person, even if you can't say it. Turn to someone right now. And make it someone you don't know. Say, I bless you. I praise you. I praise you. I love the God in you. Now, one more time. Somebody different. I bless you. I praise you. I love the God in you. Wow. Let me tell you of a true story of a student of mine who was in one of our classes a few years back, and she was married. She'd gotten married, hadn't been too long, 2 or 3 months, and it was the second marriage for both of them. And the sister of the husband became very hostile to her. And, she wasn't as good as the first wife. Always she found fault with her and everything she did. And she said really hurting, cutting things to her. And then she would say those things. She would call up her husband and say the same kind of things to him, trying to get him that way. And she was getting the husband's daughter from his first marriage on her side. So our student was so she didn't want to go home. She didn't want to go to parties or family dinners, or you could say there were definitely troublesome people in her marriage. She was naturally upset and becoming fearful, in fact, for her marriage. But she was a student of this philosophy, so I suggested she tried a so-called blessing technique that I got from Dr. Jack Addington, who has a wonderful book, I don't know if it's still in print anymore, called How to Love and Be Loved. I highly recommend that book for anyone. Well, she agreed, and what she did was this treatment, and I said, do it every morning when you wake up, start doing this treatment. And whenever you think of this person, if you can, do this treatment. And I told her if she did this for, 3 weeks or a month or so, she would feel better, and she would stop struggling and adding fear in her mind. And I said, you will be uplifted and happy and much freer of this problem. But you see, so she did it. Every morning she would say it, and in the evening before saying it, she would say it out loud. And as many times she had it written up and placed on her dashboard so she could see it when she was writing. So it became a part of her consciousness, you see. And it goes like this. Whenever she thought of her sister-in-law, she said it silently to herself. Evelyn, that's not her sister-in-law's name. But you could add anyone's name in here. She said, Evelyn, for your wonderful, generous nature, I bless you and bless you and bless you. For the love and understanding you show me, I bless you and bless you and praise you and praise you. For your patience, for your honesty, for the spirit of truth within you, I bless you and bless you and praise you and praise you and praise you. I love the God in you. I love you. Now, I'm not going to pretend that's easy to do. It's not. But if you're willing to do it, which she was, she kept it up for almost a month. And she noticed she felt a little better, but she knew she wasn't trying to make somebody do something they didn't want to do. Do you understand? She wasn't trying to make somebody do something they didn't want to do. She was simply allowing this thing that we call love, the love of God, to come through her in a new way. So lo and behold, the sister-in-law called her one day and asked to take her to lunch. At first she thought, oh no, it's going to be another slice and dice session for me. But she went. And she was told by the sister-in-law, listen to this, I apologize to you for taking out my fears. Can we be friends? Because after all, we both love my brother. Wow. But you see, something shifted in our student before it could shift in this other person. That's how love works. That's how. Let's reiterate this. First question, do I understand you enough? We're talking about learning to listen, to communicate. It's a two-way street. But we have to listen, and then we have to speak our truth. Do I water the seeds of your suffering? Do I see you as less than you're capable of being? Do I see the problem more than I see the solution? We've all got emotional buttons. But if we face them, we can change them. Do I water your seeds of joy? See, become a person of blessing and praise. I found this in my own life. When we become that person of blessing and of praise, everything in our life changes. Tell the spiritual truth about others, about yourself. That you are wonderful, creative, intelligent, worthwhile, and a joyous expression of a loving, magnificent God. Wow. Say this, I am. Wonderful, creative, intelligent, worthwhile, and a joyous expression. Now put your body into it. And a joyous expression. You know what this is, don't you? That's abundance. That's right. I am wonderful, creative, intelligent, worthwhile, and a joyous expression of a loving, magnificent God.
And a joyous expression of a loving, magnificent God.
So it is.